Hey, Brian Sullivan, founder of Precise Selling with your weekly video tip. Now, this week we're going to talk about persistence. Now, when do salespeople need to be persistent? Well, specifically, we're going to talk about being persistent when reaching out to customers you don't have. We call those cold prospects. Now, I'll often have salespeople ask me, hey, Sully, how many calls am I supposed to make on these people before I give up or just realize I'm wasting their time or maybe annoying the hell out of them? Now, I've got my opinions on this, but this is funny because I started thinking of this topic late last week. And as I began writing a little article, I listen out my door of my office and there's a bird who is banging his head over and over on my window right outside the door. So let me show you. Come with me. This is Precise Selling Studios here. So this bird is still at it. Check this out. Okay, we're back in the office. What do you think? That poor bird, huh? All right, my wife says I have a sickness, says I have a lot of sicknesses, but one sickness I have is I'm always looking for some learning lesson in the things around me. And over the past few days, I'm watching this bird just bang his head, and I'm saying, how does that relate to salespeople? Now, I got to tell you, I've fallen a bit in love with that bird because he came on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and now it's Tuesday, and man, he keeps trying to get that order and will not give up. Now, in reality, he's not getting the order. So it might be time for him to move on to a new window or a new prospect. But here's the point. He's earned the right to now move on to a new prospect. Why? Because he gave everything he could to try to get into my house. Now you're saying, all right, Sully, it's a big leap between birds and salespeople. Well, here's what I notice in my students. So many of my students identify a great prospect and they might shoot that email off, maybe leave a voicemail, maybe get someone on the phone, but not really. So they don't get really far. And too often they quit too early. It would be like that bird showing up last Thursday, banging its head once and saying, there's no opportunity here. And so the numbers say that great sales reps need to make 6 to 8 phone calls per prospect to have a successful cold call conversion rate. That's 6 to 8. But most students that I teach will only go to 3, 4, maybe 5, but the victory shows up between 6 and 8. Also, it takes an average of 18 attempts to connect and convert a lead into a qualified opportunity. In other words, you gotta be like that bird banging his head against that door. Why? Because it really is a numbers game. And a lot of times students will ask me, hey, Sully, okay, great, I get it. I gotta make more calls to my cold prospects to increase my conversion rate. But how many calls do I need to make a day? I got a lot of other things going on. I have tasks, I've got CRM, I've got expense reports, etc. The most high value activity that you have is talk time, which means if you want to make or even break your sales goal, you got to make 60 calls a day. Now, again, I understand many of you have diverse jobs and you have other tasks, but so many of these tasks are taking the place of this high value activity. So what's it mean? Well, you need 3 hours of talk time, and that's to prospects, not to your mom. And that will create the winning formula that I have found to help me and my students outsell the competition. Now, will you sometimes feel like you're banging your head against a kid's window like me? You might. Hit them 6 to 8 times. Break that window 6 to 8 times. Leave bird stains on that window, like you saw in that video. And here's the point. Expend it all, and you will earn the right to fly on to the next opportunity. But don't be surprised if a few more doors are going to open, fly into that house and sell a whole bunch of solutions to that prospect. So, leave some comments down below. What do you think? 60 calls too much? Or is 6 to 8 phone calls too much? Give me your take, comments below. We'll see you next week for your Precise Selling tip.